Well, how do you sustain a business model in which users don't pay for your service?
Senator, we run ads.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope everyone is settling into the holidays well. Today's video, I wanted to go over a recent ad campaign that Facebook has published that has really been bothering me about digital privacy, and I wanted to just kind of delve into what this is all about and what this really means. Now, recently, Facebook published a couple of these full-page print ads in the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the Wall Street Journal. I've seen 2 of these so far, and these began running on December 16th. I'm not sure if they've been running the whole time since then or if they just ran once, but they published these, and the headline on this first one reads, "We're standing up to Apple for small businesses everywhere," which is a pretty bold claim. Now, what are they standing up to Apple against? And Facebook continues, I'm gonna jump around a bit. Through a forced software update, which is iOS 14, Apple is limiting businesses' ability to run personalized ads and reach their customers effectively. Now, part of this is true and part of this is just not true. As you're well aware, Apple has been really privacy focused over the last few years, especially regarding users' personal data. One of the changes through iOS 14 is now in the App Store, Apple has added privacy like nutrition labels that basically tell you exactly what data each app is going to be tracking from you. We've never had this transparency from developers as far as what a website or an app is going to be doing with your information. Before this, you basically just had to guess, which means you just assume that that app is probably tracking anything and everything. I think it's really nice to have this sort of transparency as far as what an app is doing with your information. It's not going to stop app developers from tracking what you're doing, but you know what they're doing. And I think that's a really welcome upgrade. One problem I already have with the verbiage of this ad is this says that Apple's forced software update. Now, they're talking about iOS 14 or iOS 14 iterations such as iOS 14.3, iOS 14.4. And no Apple software updates through iOS are mandatory. You do not have to get them. Many people are still running iOS 13. Most people end up updating to iOS 14 or whatever the most recent software update is. You are under no obligation to update to the newest software when using an Apple device. So this is just a flat out lie from Facebook at this point. But let's just keep going through this. Facebook says 44% of small to medium businesses started or increased their usage of personalized ads on social media during the pandemic, according to a new Deloitte study. What this is saying is small businesses are using personalized ads more this year during the pandemic than they did in years past, which there's not really any reason not to believe that. That seems to make sense. Now let's just jump to this next part. The average small business advertiser stands to see a cut of over 60% in their sales for every dollar they spend. Now what this is saying is that without personalized ads, advertisers have to spend more in ads to get the same amount of profit from those ads. They're saying over 60% for an average small business. Now, if personalized ads were to go away, this statement would be true. Basically, the whole idea of personalized ads is being able to put your ad in front of fewer people that are more likely to like your service, therefore creating less ad spend because you have to reach a smaller audience. Unlike, say, like a TV ad, which is personalized for demographics, but not for individual users. So you're having tons and tons and tons of people see your TV ad, but it's gonna be a smaller percentage of turnover of people that actually buy your product. Whereas with personalized ads online, you're getting much higher percentages of people actually clicking and buying the thing that you want. But here's where this is really misleading. This makes it feel like Apple is going to destroy the personalized ad market in its entirety. Personalized ads are not going away because of Apple's security updates. Personalized ads aren't even going away on Apple devices because of these security updates. These are opt-in features. People have to decide to turn these things off themselves. If you don't use an Apple device, this doesn't affect you in any way, shape, or form. If you use a Google phone, if you use a Samsung phone, if you use a Windows computer, you aren't affected by this at all. Facebook can continue to run you ads just as they were able to 2 weeks ago. Even if a large majority of Apple users do opt into these security measures, Apple has a small market share. Mac OS has less than a 10% market share in the overall computer market. And that's if you use a Mac computer and use Safari. Tons of Mac users don't even use Safari, so that 10% is already cut down by a significant amount of anyone who uses Chrome or Firefox or anything like that. Now, on the iOS side, they do have a little bit larger percentage share at 28.26%, and most iOS users are probably using Safari as their default browser, so you are going to end up getting those security benefits if you opt into them. But Facebook is trying to make this feel like personalized ads are in jeopardy of going away forever, and they're just not. This next paragraph is, I think, really telling as to why Facebook is so butthurt about this. While limiting how personalized ads can be used does impact larger companies like us, these changes will be devastating to small businesses, adding to the many challenges they face right now. Again, if personalized ads were to go away in their entirety, it would be technically harder for small businesses to advertise. You know, the businesses that I've run have used personalized ads in the past. They do work well. There are other ways to get advertising out there. So Facebook isn't people's only choice. But saying that small businesses are going to collapse because of Apple's shift towards a more privacy-focused initiative is complete nonsense. And I think this graph is really telling into why Facebook is so scared, because if you look at this, Facebook's revenue is 99% advertising. So this isn't going to kill small business. This is going to hurt Facebook's bottom line. Facebook is not scared about small business because of small businesses. Facebook is scared of economic hurt of small businesses because that is their entire business model. They rely on these businesses to advertise on their platform. Facebook is scared of some profit loss. That's all this is. They're only scared of their bottom line because they're a giant tech company. All of these giant tech companies are worried about money. That's how it works. They need to appease investors, et cetera, et cetera. Apple is one of those tech companies as well. They do the exact same thing, just in different methods. They just sell different things. Some bold attempt to save the little guy. This is just Facebook trying to save their own butt. No point during this do they mention people deserve privacy. Because they don't care. They want your data. Facebook just is scared that they can't get your data, and they want that. They don't care about your personal privacy and protections because their whole business is set up on you giving up your personal data to them to use. Now at the end here, it goes to this link. I checked the link out. It's a bunch of like, you know, heartstring pulling stories about businesses who wouldn't have made it without personalized ads. And all of these business stories are probably true. I'm not gonna like try to deny that. I'm not gonna try to like bash any of these people who are on this page. Like basically probably paid them a good amount of money to make this happen. And even if they didn't, it doesn't matter. Facebook's trying to make it feel like it's this life or death dire situation for small businesses, which again, I've said this a bunch of times, is not the scenario. It's just Apple giving their customers a bit more transparency about what companies are doing with their data and options to help mitigate that if they want more personal privacy. Let's jump over to the second ad that they shared, which is titled Apple versus the Free Internet, which I already feel like is misleading because that makes it feel like it's some sort of Apple versus net neutrality type thing, but they're literally saying Apple versus free stuff on the internet. Because underneath this, they say again, Apple plans to roll out a 4 software update, not true, that will change the internet as we know it for the worse. For the worse for Facebook, not for everyone. Because again, they're not talking about personal privacy. They're literally just talking about personalized ads, which is Facebook's entire business strategy. They're saying that Apple's change will limit the ability to run personalized ads. To make ends meet, many will have to start charging subscription fees or adding more in-app purchases, making the internet a more expensive and reducing high quality free content. So going back to that headline, this isn't like net neutrality. It makes it feel like this like villainous thing. But they're literally just talking about Apple versus free content online. And I will say that this paragraph is probably the most true statement in anything that they posted on here. If personalized ads do decrease, ad revenues for content creators, say like if you're a YouTuber and you're running ads on your channel, you're probably gonna get a smaller percentage of cut from those ads. So you may need to turn to other forms of monetization for your content. But most digital creators already do this. I feel like anyone that's doing digital creation as a full-time job, a very, very small percentage of those people rely solely on ad revenue to make their money. They usually will use ad revenue in tandem with other things such as merchandise, products, courses, like etc., etc. These things are already happening, so it's like we might just see like a small bump in that, but like it's not going to destroy the internet because people are a little bit more private with their data. It's just going to hurt Facebook's profit. That's literally all this is. The rest of this ad is like very similar to the first one. It then goes to talk about how the small business community will be impacted by this, and it talks about a lot of the same stats that they did in the first ad. So like the rest of the information you can see on screen, you can pause and read them if you really want to, but the rest of the information is basically the same as the first ad. The summary of what Facebook is trying to do here is they are trying to get the users that Apple is trying to protect more on their side by saying that Apple is going to ruin like small business and small business marketing. I want to touch on Apple's response to this real quick because it does reveal more about how iOS 14 lets you limit app developers tracking you. Tim Cook tweeted, "We believe users should have the choice over the data that is being collected about them and how it's used. Facebook can continue to track users across apps and websites as before. App tracking transparency in iOS 14 will just require that they ask permission first." So, if you are someone that doesn't opt out of asking for tracking, if you actually turn off the tracking, this won't pop up for you. So that's the opt-in feature that I'm talking about, is you actually have to go and opt out of this ask for permission prompt. And if that is on, all this does is when you first open the app after you download it, it just asks if, say, Facebook can track your data or not. And you just say, ask app not to track. They probably still can track your data. All this is saying is, please don't. So Facebook's whole ad campaign about this is based around a feature where we're, as users, just asking, please don't. There's no like hard line, you cannot make this happen. And you can also just allow it. You can see how disingenuous these ads from Facebook are, trying to make it feel like Apple is like villainizing the internet, whereas Facebook is just worried that they are going to get a small percentage less people telling them that they can track their data. That's it. That's the whole story. One last point about tech companies is I don't want to make it seem like I think Apple is like the good guy tech company. I agree with Apple's policies on privacy. I agree with how Apple handles privacy and their kind of updated commitment to transparency of your personal data. But Apple is in a unique spot where this works for their bottom line. Apple is a hardware company first. Most of their sales come through, iPhone sales, Mac sales, etc. So they don't need to generate revenue through selling ads. They don't need your data. And so they've realized this as a company and really pushed hard to go in the opposite direction of privacy to make it feel like they stand out from the pack as far as hardware goes, which they are doing, and their privacy policies are better than a lot of other tech companies. Don't be fooled to think that Apple is like really trying to have your back here. They're doing it because it works well for their bottom line as well. If they were in a position where they really needed ad revenue, they probably wouldn't be pushing this feature. That's just the truth of it. Tech companies are out for their own profit. It just happens that Apple's strategy just aligns closer to the protection of personal data. So that's basically it. That's all I really wanted to say about this. Facebook just continues to disappoint me as a brand and a company. I don't really have another takeaway from this. I hope everyone has a really nice holiday season, and I'll see you again very soon. Peace.